Into a fresh episode of Locked On Bulls. I'm Matt. That's Big Dave. Up ahead on today's show, we got to talk about the Zach LaVine becoming more and more of a vocal Chicago sports fan and not just the Bulls. What that might mean as far as his commitment to Chicago. Plus a couple of Bleacher Report redrafts, the class of 2019 and the class of 2020, both in which the Bulls had high picks. And there are some surprises in there, so we're going to break that down as well. All that ahead on today's episode of Locked On Bulls. Let's go.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Here are your hosts, Matt Peck and Big Dave Watson.
What's up and welcome into a fresh Locked On Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Matt Peck. You can follow me on Twitter at Bulls_Peck. You can follow my co-host Big Dave Watson at BAWL Sports. And you can follow us at Locked On Bulls. Shoot us an email, lockedonbulls@gmail.com. And of course, that text and voicemail line is always there for you, our fellow Bulls fans. And that number is 331-979-1369. We did texts, we did emails, and in a separate episode we did voicemails at back end last week. So if you haven't watched and or listened to those episodes yet, do yourself a favor and go check it out, because you might be on there. If you send us a text and an email or drop us a voicemail, you could be on there. Big Dave, how was the weekend? Are we feeling good about the Bears 1-1?
Yes. Yes-ish. I guess. I mean, well, first of all, yeah, weekend was good. Weekend was very good. A lot of chilling. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy Justin got in there, and got to play a half. I didn't want to see Andy Dalton be hurt. That's not the way I wanted to see him go in there. Even though he's a second Bear quarterback I've seen be hurt running out of bounds. Shout out Jim Miller. But man, I feel good. We got to win. I'll say that. We got to win. It says something to me that Justin feels when he got in the game that the defense started actually playing better. And I think Justin, if he plays again this week, then you'll see more of this excitement from me. Like, then he'll have a full go at it, and I'll feel so much better then, because I just wanted him to have a full go at it. I don't want people to draw a conclusion after a half, even though he threw a perfect pass to Allen Robinson and he dropped it. But that's okay. But
yeah.
But yeah, and he won the game on the 39 with that run he did. He won the game with that. So, but yeah. He looked like a rookie out there, and I'm glad he's out there, and he needs to stay out there. I'll say that.
Yeah. You watch that amazing Mahomes-Lamar Jackson duel on Sunday Night Football, and you think, man, I can't wait for Justin Fields to be that kind of hyped young star-level QB shining on Sunday Night Football. And hopefully, and hopefully sooner than later. So speaking of the Bears, and kudos to them for getting back to 1-1. Zach LaVine, who is not known as a very vocal social media guy, like he has an Instagram account, and it's, pictures of him and his fiance having a beautiful life together and his dogs. Obviously, he was very active on Insta during his trip to Tokyo as part of Team USA. It was really cool to follow along with that. We're now seeing some workout videos, as we've discussed last week, in the gym working. So I would say he's more of an Instagram guy than a Twitter guy. He does have a Twitter account, doesn't use it a lot. But over the course of this weekend, we got 2 tweets from Zach LaVine that just made my heart smile, because we've been talking about, this reporter from the Boston Globe is saying that the Celtics are going to poach Zach LaVine away, and he signed with Clutch Sports, so the Lakers are going to poach him away. And we got to listen to all this crap. And meanwhile, before Bears Sunday, earlier in the weekend, White Sox Talk, the White Sox account for our old friends at NBC Sports Chicago, posted a picture of Zach LaVine in a White Sox themed alternative Bulls jersey. It's the Chicago cursive from the old 80s jerseys and what we have seen in some of the recent city editions and stuff like that. Yeah. But in White Sox, black trim and gray. And it looks great. And it's Zach flexing and smiling in that jersey. And Zach said in a tweet underneath it, "We've got to make this jersey happen." And that Zach LaVine has got some love for the White Sox on the South Side now. And then on top of that, the Bears on their official Twitter account post, that's a W with, game highlights or recap score or whatever. And underneath that tweet, Zach LaVine subtweets, protect home, exclamation point. I'm not trying to say I'm reading too much into a clean, but in the span of a few days, you have him saying, yo, it's White Sox Bulls mashup jersey is dope, and I'd love to see it happen. And you got him saying, good for you, Bears, protect home field. Home being the key word. Zach LaVine sounds like a guy who has fully embraced, I am the face of the Chicago Bulls, and I am here in Chicago repping not just the Bulls, but all the teams of the city. And look, I know that there are some people who will listen to our podcast who don't care that we spent a minute talking about the Bears as we started, who aren't Cubs or White Sox fans, who aren't Blackhawks fans. I get that. A lot of Chicagoans are Chicago across the board, ride or die. And to see a player like that repping other teams in the city matters, especially when it's a player like Zach who is ascending into stardom and we're all panicked that he's going to leave. What do you think about that, Dave?
Wow, this is interesting, Matt. Because here's the two things the way I'm looking at it. When I saw the White Sox one, and I was like, oh, that's cool. He responded to it. And you're right. It was shocking because I'm not used to seeing him say anything. But when I saw that, you could look at that if you wanted to be, a pessimist about it. You could look at it in a way and say, well, that could be corporate induced. That could be because, the White Sox are also owned by Jerry Reinsdorf, same team, same person that owns Chicago Bulls. So you look at it like, he's just, toting the line. You know what I mean? He's just doing it like that. He doesn't really care. He probably doesn't even like baseball, even though Zach was a good baseball player, according to Zach LaVine. So you can look at it that way if you're being pessimistic about it. I get that. That's fine. The Bears one, though, that's the one that threw me, and that's the one you have to look at because he is a out loud Raiders fan. He makes no bones about it. This dude's a Raiders fan, okay? He loves the Raiders. That's who he rolls with is the Raiders. So for him to say anything about the Chicago Bears and then to say those words, protect home, which is, I'm sure, got you all in the tizzy when you saw it. You know what I mean? Got the nip kind of poking out a little bit when you saw that a little bit, sir. And I understand. But that is what kind of gave me like, oh, snap. You know what I mean? Protect home. Using that word home like he did in that one. And for a team that's not even his favorite team or a team he's not even like, this is the team I support.
Right.
So to say it like that, he didn't say, good job, way to protect home field. You know what I'm saying? That would have been a different way to say that. He didn't say that. He said protect the home. So when you're looking like home, well, guess who's home? Zach LaVine. He's home. Oh, so that's what made it feel good, Matt. It wasn't the White Sox one so much because, like I said, if you're looking at it pessimistically, you say he's just toning the company line, even though I don't think he is. I think he's right. Those jerseys looked amazing on him, and that would be really dope. Even though it looked like San Antonio Spurs, but we would know in Chicago. We would know in Chicago what it is when we saw it. You know what I mean? Maybe they could change the color. You know what I mean? Make it a black jersey with the gray writing. There's a lot of things you could do with it. But it was the Chicago Bears one because there's no connection or affiliation corporate-wise with the Chicago Bulls, except your fandom, except just showing love for that team and saying protect home. Yeah, I can understand why you would look at that and feel some sort of joy, my friend. I do.
It's like you said, man. It was that key word that just that he simply said home, protect home. So in our everyday worry of, oh God, can we convince Zach to stay? Are they going to pay him enough money to stay? Is he going to bolt in free agency? Just seeing that at least temporarily put my mind at ease to be like, no, once again, as he has said several times himself, I love being in Chicago. I want to stay in Chicago. And the fact that he's been here a while, he hasn't been winning, but he's been here long enough and is excited about this upcoming season, the moves the team has made, the fact that he feels listened to by the organization now, maybe is starting to feel a little bit more like Chicago is home, or at least a home. And that's big. That's big. All right, so fun Zach LaVine social media stuff from the weekend that we wanted to touch on. And now we will get into the meat of today's episode, which is these redrafts from 2019 and 20 that were put out by Bleacher Report. over the last few days. Before we get to that, though, Big Dave, wanted to tell our listeners that today's episode is brought to you by DirecTV Stream. Does this sound familiar? You've got one device that lets you catch the game live, another that lets you stream your favorite TV shows. You're watching sports highlights on your phone, and you've got your neighbor's best friend's dog's giraffes login for the good stuff. Well, I want to tell you about a simple way to get all of that entertainment that you love without the hassle, and a great way to finally get your TV together. Get it together. It's called DirecTV Stream, and it brings you live TV and your on-demand favorites together like never before, so you can watch your favorite sports, watch your favorite movies, all of your favorite shows, and all in one place. That means no more juggling remotes, no need to buy another device ever again, and the best part, there's no annual contract. So get rid of the clutter, get rid of the confusion, and get your TV together with DirecTV Stream. You can learn more at directtv.com. That's directtv.com. Compatible service required. Content varies by package.
That's how you do it right there. Let me talk to y'all about an awesome product that I use myself. That is amazing. And y'all have heard me speak about it before. It's called Sweat Block. It's in the name, y'all. Sweat Block. They don't play around. There's no fancy cool name with it. You know, there's no, oh, this is flowery. Oh, this is cool name. Oh, we'll put a lightning bolt on it. No, you sweat and you want to block it, you get Sweat Block. That's how that goes. Doctor created, doctor recommended, works up to 7 days per use. Comes with the dry shirt guarantee. If Sweat Block does not keep you dry, guess what, my friends? You get your money back. It is a bestseller on Amazon for the past, let me count that up right there, 10 years, 13,000 positive reviews. And right now, it is currently number 1 in Amazon on their antiperspirant category. Manufactured right here in the good old US of A. You can wear what you want. It's your little secret. You don't have to tell nobody. You can step off to the bathroom, dab it up, get right back to that date, get right back to that meeting, and you'll be good to go. Everybody got to have this, man. If you sweat, you got to have this product, okay? Take it from this dude right here. All right. Now, I know what you're saying to yourself. Man, it blocks the sweat. Well, it's got to cost a bunch of money. Well, here, let me help you out with this way too. Because when you go to sweatblock.com and you use that promo code locked on, you will save yourself 20% on it. And just say you can't get to that. Well, guess what? You can head right over to Amazon, or you can go to CVS. Use the code locked on. Save that 20% that way as well. It's an awesome product. Make sure you use it. If you sweat, you got to have it. Sweat Block. Stay dry.
Man, I was using some this weekend, Dave. It's still hot in Chicago. At least it was this weekend.
It is. That's about to change.
Dry as a bone under the
bone, baby. Bone dry.
Really
you heard him.
Really is an incredible product.
You see that? You see that moment Matt just had right there? That's a moment of, oh my God, this product is amazing. That's what that moment was right there. Yes.
All right. So you know what else is amazing, Big Dave, is these redrafts we're gonna get into right now.
All righty.
Bleacher Report is doing what we're all doing right now, which is sifting for content in the dead month of NBA September before we get to training camp. And so they're doing some redrafts. They do redrafts a lot, they did one back in the middle of last season, redrafting the 2019 draft class in February. They're doing another one now, after another sample size of what these young players in the NBA have done. Let's start with the 2019 redraft, and then we'll move to 2020. There's a lot that's in here that's interesting, Big Dave. Yeah. But the top 3 stayed the same. So you got in that order Zion, you got Ja, and you got RJ Barrett. And I think there's nobody who would have any squabbles with redraft. Yep, they got 1, 2, 3 correct.
Yes.
It's when you get to 4 that things really start to get weird and funky and interesting. Including a lot of players who were taken late first round and even second round, jumping into the top 10. And the first one of those is the Hawks taking Matisse Thybulle at 4. Thybulle originally picked 20th. Then you got Tyler Hero, originally picked 13th, jumping up to the Cavs taking him at 5th. Obviously, after his bubble performance, people could say, yeah, Hero's that good. Yeah. Then you get the 2020-21 Tyler Hero, and you're like, is he that good? We're all waiting. This is the big Tyler Hero season in front of us.
Yeah.
You got Garland at 6, so dropping down one spot from 5th. You got the Bulls taking, and I know your boy will love this,
Come on,
DeAndre
T-Red.
Hunter at the
Oh,
7th pick, who had originally been taken 4th. In this redraft, he falls to 7th and is selected by the Bulls. Thoughts on that?
oh, my first thought was C-Red Fred is going to lose his mind. He has been preaching the gospel of DeAndre Hunter since the draft of that year. He has been talking about him. He wanted DeAndre Hunter so much. I remember when we were doing Bulls Outsiders, we talked about DeAndre Hunter, but then we were like, we don't think it's a possibility, so we spent too much time there. But we were like, yeah, he's good, and if he's there, the Bulls should take him. But it just didn't figure that he would be there at that time. So yeah, he was exactly what the Bulls needed at that time. There's still room for him just because of his size, his skill set. Obviously, he'd be a great player and great move, but he's doing well with Atlanta. He's doing great with Atlanta. I am a little surprised he dropped 3 slots though. That's a little surprising, but because of the injury and stuff like that, I can get why. But he's skilled though. He's very skilled.
So moving on, you got at 8. Talon Horton-Tucker, originally taken all the way down at 46, midway through the second round. A name that had kind of popped up around the Bulls as a player they may have been interested in over the last few years. He goes 8 with a huge leap. And look, I think what THD has shown people so far, like I don't have any problems with that. Like, that guy is a player. That guy is a big, important piece of a Lakers team that is perennial title contenders, maybe favorites at this point in time. You got Nickeil Alexander-Walker at 9. He was originally taken 17th. You got Cam Johnson at 10, originally 11, so not a huge move there. Coby White's old teammate. Phoenix Suns taking Brandon Clark at 11. He makes a 10-spot jump up from 21st. PJ Washington stays at 12. The more names I list, here's Rui Hachimura, originally picked 9th, going to Miami at 13. Lou Dort to the Celtics at 14, an undrafted player. And so you might be saying to yourself, we're at 14. I just rattled off everyone at up through 14 and still no Coby White. You got to go all the way up to 20. Coby White is redraft, goes to the Philadelphia 76ers at 20. And some of the notes on Coby White's spot here: a high volume, low efficiency bench scorer so far. Over 2 seasons, he's averaged 14.2 points with a well below average effective field goal percentage and a low free throw rate. Doesn't mean White will always be this player. He's only 21 years old. Moderate improvement as a 3-point shooter might be about all it takes to change his outlook offensively. He probably needs more work on the other end, but his defense isn't always the top. But defense isn't always the top priority for a heat check guy. Coming in just ahead of Coby White at 19, Nicholas Claxton. Originally picked 31st. Jackson Hayes, another guy like Coby, fell far out of the top 10. He is with the Pacers at 18 after originally being picked 8th. And then here might be my favorite wrinkle of this. Going to the New Orleans Pelicans at 17, ahead of his former teammate by 3 spots, is your main man, Daniel Gafford.
Kaplackow! Splat down! Sploogadoos! In your face! All your haters! Get up off that man, Daniel Gafford, boy! Been trying to preach this gospel to y'all for I don't know how long. Sorry, Matt, but I got the flow now. I got to talk about Daniel Gafford and the 17th pick, because we're going to get into Coby White for sure. But Daniel Gafford, I've been telling you over and over and over and over and over again about how good this dude is, about what he brings to the floor, about what he does on both ends of the floor. How many times do I have to tell y'all about the time we saw him in his highlight reel and me, Matt, and John are sitting in the green room and we watch him block a shot and then he runs the floor and he windmills the alley-oop dunk and we all jumped up out our seats and walked around like, what the hell? He's on our team? We lost our minds. I was in right then at that point. You saw it right there. You continue to see flashes of it. You knew he was good. He wasn't just some guy you could just find. This dude is skilled. It takes skill to do that stuff that he's doing. You know how many 7-footers just run around doing windmill dunks? How many of you know blocking shots running the floor like that? Windmilling on cats. How many of you know can change how a team is operating? Ask Washington how that team operated in that second half after they made that trade for Daniel Gafford. Ask Washington how they did. Did you see the wins they went on? Did you see how many things they did better? You saw them saying, thank you, Bulls. We appreciate you sending us Daniel Gafford, man. And he's going to be even better this year. 17th from the second round to 17th in the first round. He's that good, and he's only going to get better. He's only going to get better. Oh, Daniel M.F. and Gafford. Let's go, baby. Let's do it. Woo! Stop hating. I can't wait to watch him this year. I can't wait. He's going to be dunking on people all over, Matt. Going to be block shots and dunks everywhere. They're going to love this dude. Oh, get your money, boy. Get your money. All right, I'm done.
All right. I first of all, I thoroughly enjoyed that. Thank you for that. That's what I thought the reaction was going to be, and I'm glad I got it. However, I can't believe I'm the one who's now going to have to sit here and say, whoa.
Come on with it.
Are we arguing that Gafford is better? A player that gives you more than Coby White? Because you know me, I have never been super high on Coby White. I think he is what he is, which is basically the way that Bleacher Report described him. He's a microwave scorer. He's a heat check guy. And a guy who we have learned, I think, through 2 seasons, not a natural point guard, not a playmaking point guard, at least not yet. But, you know, still young, room to grow, best served as an off-the-ball threat who can get hot from 3, and he can use his speed occasionally to just get to the rim. Although, as they also pointed out, not a super efficient finisher at and near the rim. There are holes and flaws in Coby White's game. But what he can give you on any given night, the nights where we saw, hey, Zach LaVine does in fact have a sidekick, and his name is Coby White. And Coby White, the sidekick, put up 33 points tonight. Those kind of skills, Coby's ability to drop in that many points on any random night. Do you honestly think that Gafford should be ahead of Coby White in this redraft?
Now, let me answer your first part of your questions. No, I don't think Daniel Gafford is better than Coby White. No, I don't believe that. Here's what I do believe. I do believe they drafted and redrafted on fit. So when he went to the New Orleans Pelicans, that was the fit. The fit wasn't Coby White at that point in time. Because remember, if you're going with the redraft, they had Lonzo. So there wasn't a need there. You know what I'm saying? To have him right there at that point in time. There was definitely a need for them to have a backup center. They needed a center.
Fair.
That's exactly what they needed. And that's why they took Jackson Hayes in the first place. But yeah, so that's why I looked at it as. I didn't look at it as him being better or worse than him. But if we're talking about basketball skills, I'm taking a dude who hit 8 threes in a game. Yeah. Let me get him on my squad. But I'm just talking about the awesomeness and the spectacularness of that man that they called Daniel Gafford that they told me was a scrub, Matt. They told me he ain't have it, Matt. They said he wasn't that dude. This is what they told me, Matthew Peck. This is what they told me over and over again, that he wasn't that guy. You heard it. You read it. You saw it. And what did he do? He went out and proved them all wrong. Yes, I am that dude. Yes, I am that guy. Watch me work and watch how I do. Look at the impact. That's all I'm saying. Look at the impact of the Washington Wizards, for God's sakes. They were like 10 games out. They were nothing in the East. They came out and just as soon as they got this dude, they ran teams. And then all of a sudden in the playoffs, who'd you see starting? Oh, that was Daniel Gafford. That's who you saw starting in the playoffs. Daniel Gafford, okay? He's important. He's an important, huge, colossal piece. Is he better than Coby White, skill-wise and all that? No. But that dude is important because both sides of the floor, he is impactful.
Yeah. Look, and I think it also says something about after the top 3, how a lot of teams were just kind of confused about who the best players in this draft class were.
That's fair.
The fact that you have after the top 3 from, the starting at 4 high lottery all the way through 20, you've got guys jumping up from the second round. You've got undrafted guys jumping up. You've got top 10 guys from the actual draft falling into the late teens and even the 20s. Maybe the Bulls still in a search for a guard and maybe a point guard at that point in time, took Coby because they thought he was a blend of best player available while also filling a need. And clearly, while I think that falling all the way to 20 and some of the names ahead of him are a little like, really, is kind of disrespectful to Coby White.
Very, extremely.
I also can see, look, there are a lot of players that the Bulls and a lot of other teams whiffed on in this 2019 draft. It happens.
It happens every year.
Unfortunately, Coby White was the final first-round pick of a front office duo who, after starting out pretty hot and making a lot of hits in the draft, John Paxson with the Baby Bulls, then Joakim and Derek and Taj and Jimmy, like we know the hits, right? They went a lot of years without hits, and now Coby White, the last pick they made, along with Zach LaVine, is the only player left on the roster from when A.K. and Eversley inherited this team. That's interesting. But look, right now, we're kind of wondering what's going to be happening with Coby White. We're hoping that the shoulder surgery and then recovery is going well. We heard from him a few days ago, got a couple of quotes out of him saying, yeah, I feel good. Think I'm on schedule as far as the recovery timeline. But with all of the roster overhaul and then starting the season on the shelf, maybe this is some bulletin board material for Coby White if he saw this to be like, really, y'all? 20th?
That's what I was about to say.
All right, wait till I get back on the floor and I have some more talented teammates. Let me show you what I could do.
Yeah, I love when you're in my brain, Matt. That's exactly what I was gonna say. I hope he sees this and it pisses him the hell off. I hope he checks this out. Like, are you kidding me? Y'all think it's 20? Then me? Then Coby White? Did you not see how I do? I hope it makes him so angry and just makes him mad. If it's anybody on this Bulls team who is set up to succeed this season, it's Coby White. It is set up for him to succeed. They're not asking him to be the point guard anymore. They're not asking him to be the starter anymore. They're putting him where we all thought he would be most comfortable, where he could really help this team, is being that 6th or 7th guy coming in off the bench, getting hot for this team, scoring a bunch of buckets, being nasty on the catch and shoot, and playing in that fourth quarter when you need some scoring. Like, it's set up for him. They're not asking him to defend the other team's best point guard. They're not asking him to do it. They're just asking him to be Coby White. They're asking him to get them buckets. That's what they're asking him to do. Now, we saw how good he did, at least I did, man. I'm sure you did too. But we saw how well he did when Vooch got there, how the game started slowing down for Coby White when he was out there running that point guard position, how things got a little simpler for him in his decision-making and things of that nature. I'm liking the fact that now he can take what he's learned over to that second unit. Now he can work with guys like Lonzo Ball on his team who can maybe show him certain nuances that he didn't see. Now you can look at guys like Alex Caruso, who can also help you on the defensive end as well, who's also a solid shooter, who can also show you things because he's a veteran who's been proven because he has a ring in this league. It's set up for Coby White to succeed. All he has to do is just go be Coby White and get them buckets, Matt, and he's going to have a good season. That's how I feel.
We'll see. I mean, I 20th I thought was crazy. I even think it's crazy to put his former teammate Gafford 3 spots ahead of him. As much as I enjoyed watching Gafford get minutes in a Bulls jersey as well. And hey, man, that redraft just shows you a lot of players came out of nowhere that for whatever reason, didn't have the eyeballs on them, weren't scouted properly, whatever. That, to their credit, I think Coby doesn't go 7th overall if this draft is redrafted, because there are that many players that look to be legitimately better than him in that draft class. 20 is too insulting. 20 is ridiculous.
20 is
all right.
Steal.
we will now move on to the 2020 redraft, which also has Patrick Williams falling from his original selection by the Bulls, but not quite as far. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, want to tell y'all about a new excellent way to play fantasy basketball, if that's your thing, because people are getting ready. Training camp's right around the corner. Fantasy basketball is going to be here before you know it. And did you know this? In 2018, the fantasy sports experts at Sleeper the fantasy app, realized that fantasy basketball was broken. Games were being won and lost based on whose players had more scheduled games that week. It made no sense. It required very little strategy. So in 2020, Sleeper released a brand new way of playing fantasy basketball. It's called Game Pick, and it's only available on Sleeper. In Game Pick, owners pick a single game per week for each starter to count towards their team's total score, ensuring ensuring an even number of games played between opponents. The days of losing because your opponent's players simply had more scheduled games to play in that week are over. The days of mindlessly daily busy work are over. In Game Picks, you pick one game per week for each player based on player matchups, home versus away, opponent's defensive ranking, pace of play, and many more elements just like that. All of that adds up to more strategy and less busy work. Whether you prefer redraft, keeper, or dynasty, Game Picks has you covered. Sleeper cracked the fantasy football code. If you play fantasy football, if you prefer building out a weekly strategy versus daily busy work, you're going to love Game Picks. Download the Sleeper app and start a league with your friends today. You will not be disappointed.
No, you won't.
So go, check it out. Download the Sleeper app and play fantasy basketball the right way.
That's right. Hey, you, listen, I'm talking to you right now. You with your in shot. Ain't you tired of hurting? Don't it hurt? Aren't you tired of sitting down and making this noise? Aren't you tired of picking up your kid and you're like, I got to put you down, the hip hurt? Aren't you sick of that? Because we're sick of looking at you and having it happen to you. All right? But we got the medicine for you. Don't let the stress of that daily life weigh on your body. Now, whether you're an elite athlete or someone like me who's an uber elite athlete, just trying to make it through the day, Theragun is what you're going to need. It's a handheld percussive therapy device that releases your deepest muscle tension using a scientifically calibrated combo of depth, speed, and power. And it is as quiet as an electric toothbrush, baby. All right? Now, whether you want to treat your muscle tension from working out, an injury, or just some stresses of everyday life, there is no substitute. You hear what I said to you? No substitute for the Theragun Gen 4. The Theragun Gen 4. You're going to need this in your life, man. I'm telling you right now. It doesn't just feel good. It gets to the source of that pain. It gets up in there. Using that gun is signature percussion therapy. It goes 60% deeper than the vibration alone. Now, this is what you're going to need. Try Theragun for 30 days, starting at only $199. You heard what I said. 30 days, $199, man. Go to Theragun.com/locked-on right now and get your Gen 4 Theragun today. Get it, because it worked. You're tired of hurting? Theragun Gen 4 works for you.
All right, with that, let's move on to the 2020 redraft compliments of Bleacher Report. I think a little less craziness here in this one than 2019. They do have a switch of LaMelo going first and Edwards going second as opposed to the other way around. And then things do get a little interesting because I was like, ooh, man, like redraft, you know I love me some Patrick Williams, but where's Tyrese Halliburton going to go?
Yeah.
Halliburton goes 3. Halliburton goes 3 to the Charlotte Hornets. A steal by the Kings at 12 after what was just a very great year from him. And then here at 4, the Bulls do not take Patrick Williams. They take Isaiah Stewart, originally 16th pick by Detroit, and had a pretty low-key season. Definitely earned more minutes as the season went along. But Big Dave, original thoughts right there as just if we were to redo this draft, who would you rather have, Patrick Williams or Isaiah Stewart?
I'd still rather have Patrick Williams. And nothing against Isaiah Stewart. Because like you said, he had a very solid season that honestly nobody was really looking at or expecting. With 13 and 11, that's real solid to come in as a rookie, because those are numbers that will keep you in the league for 12 plus years. If you're averaging 10 and 10, playing that 4 position, being as skilled as he was doing it and being as tough as he was doing it. So I understand the need that he would provide for this team, but I want Patrick Williams because of what we see, Matt. We see something that might be a little special in him. We see, and I see the steadiness of Stewart. I do. I see the steadiness of the 13, and it can continue on. He can probably hit a little higher on those points per game and a few more rebounds. But Patrick Williams, I have a higher idea for as far as what his ceiling is concerned than I do Isaiah Stewart. Now, Isaiah, like you said, he comes in and he impacts immediately. I saw Patrick Williams' impact. And man, it just got me more excited for him going into season 2 about how much higher and more things that he can do. And it makes me excited for season 3. It makes me excited for season 4. But nothing against Isaiah Stewart because, like you said, that's a steady ship. It reminds you of like a Taj Gibson or someone like that, who can just be steady with it, or even a Carlos Boozer. Just what they're going to give you every time they get into the ball game, and you don't have to worry about that. So, yeah, shout out to him for that. And also, I think what's more impressive is the 2 blocks that he was getting also per game. Yeah. That is also impressive. So, for me, that's a complete package right there. So, I'm giving you 10-plus points, 10-plus rebounds, and 2-plus blocks a game. That'll get you in the starting lineup. I don't care what team you're on. You should be in the lineup, period, doing that. So, I think he'll only get better. But that 3-point shot is really what set it back. If you're going to go that high, you're going to have that. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion, unless you're going to be a special elite kind of big man or something like that. But yeah, right. He's good though. Nothing against he's good, but I'd still take Patrick.
So just a quick clarification there that 13, 11, and 2 is actually his per 36 numbers, his rookie year.
Right.
So,
I'm sorry, I didn't say per 36. Excuse me.
Right. Yeah. So, but as I mentioned, the minutes kept going up for him. They also mentioned in this Bleacher Report column, he averaged 18.5 minutes before the All-Star break. And that jumped up to 24.5 minutes after the All-Star break. So if he can get that production and stretch it out over earning more minutes as his NBA career goes, yeah, he looks like a solid player. As I said, if we were pretending this redraft was real, and maybe the only thing I would have flirted with is Halliburton if he were there and he fell. I think I'm with you. I think based on what I've seen from Patrick Williams, I still believe in his just like Sears Tower kind of ceiling. I believe in that kind of ceiling for Patrick Williams. I'm going to roll with him. But let's move through now to see where he does fall. At 5, we have the Cavs taking James Wiseman, who was a second
real quick,
pick.
Matt. No, real quick right there. There's no way I'm passing on James Wiseman for Isaiah. Let me just say that. There's no way I'm passing on Wiseman, all right? Absolutely no way. So, please, thank you.
So you're a believer in Wiseman. Because, I wasn't. Coming into this draft, I was like, and young big men, it's always kind of hard to tell. But I watched what I watched on Wiseman, and I was like,
Dude, if in a redraft he drops from 2 to 5, you know what I mean? That's not a huge fall. Okay, that's not a huge fall at all. That dude can play, and his development is going to be skilled. What he does on the defensive end is a problem. Like, it's an issue, man. That dude is skilled. He's only going to get better, Matt. Like, you don't pass on that. That dude can honestly be a generational talent. I'm not passing on James Wiseman, though. I'm just not doing that.
Right. So then we have the Hawks sticking Onyeka Okongwu at 6th overall. Interesting. So he jump or fall, but does technically count as a player who jumps Patrick Williams, whose name we have not gotten to yet, with Onyeka Okongwu at 6. I think he's a good fit there. He's a good player. He was certainly a name that I was interested in when I was looking at who could help this Bulls team coming into that 2020 draft. Then we get to 7 Pistons. Emmanuel Quickley. He is the big jumper here. He was originally picked, 25th. Wow, that's a big jump. What do you think about Quickley at 7?
Wow, that's a huge jump for Quickley, but he was awesome this season. Like, he really was. He played very, very well, man. And that 3-point shooting is what gets you. And it was crazy how consistent he became. Like, you just depend on it, like, all the time, especially at 3-point. You just depended on it. And when Thibs is looking at you and putting you in, that already tells you everything you really need to know, because we know how Thibs feels about those young guys and the young guys getting time. So when Thibs is out there, like, yeah, you get some tick, you can play what like every game after game, you're gonna put him in the game and trust him and know that he can provide something for you. That's honestly the only stat you really truly need. Honestly, is Thibs is putting you in the game and you're a young player. That says a lot.
So, I mean, I don't have a problem with quickly making this big of a jump. I mean, he was a huge reason why the Knicks were as surprisingly good as they were, because they got that kind of production out of a rookie. And good for them for snaking him, because wow, like that. I did not have an eye on quickly before I started watching that dude's highlight reel. I was like, holy crap, this guy can play.
Yeah, he wasn't one talked about. A guy, he was not one that was spoken about highly or a lot, which is why he failed so far. But yeah, he's been great.
So he makes a 25-7 jump, and then at 8, we have the Knicks taking Patrick Williams, originally picked by our Bulls at 4.
Who wrote this? It's a Knicks fan.
Maybe a Knicks fan. I don't know about you. It stung me even more that that's the team you went to. It's like, the Knicks.
Yeah,
really?
Right. Yeah, right.
So here are a couple of notes from who did this redraft. Because right after him, they have Desmond Bane, which is interesting. And they note that P-Dub's numbers weren't as good his rookie year as Desmond Bane's, but the age discussion comes up. Bane was 22 during his rookie campaign, whereas Williams was 19. Need we remind you one more time? Patrick Williams played his entire NBA rookie year as a 19-year-old. He just turned 20 like 2 weeks ago.
He still can't have a drink, guys.
Other factors that set Williams apart from Desmond Bane. Bane's a 6'4" wingspan compared to Patrick Williams' 7-foot wingspan. Thank you very much. Extra length giving that Williams that defensive versatility so many teams want in today's NBA. What Williams showed offensively as a rookie is enticing too. Didn't take many shots, but a 39.1 3-point percentage, solid accuracy from mid-range, provide the profile of a good shooter. At the very least, Williams looked like he has the potential to be a high-end, gap-filling 3-and-D player. That is a modest way of describing what Patrick Williams' potential is. A high-end, gap-filling 3-and-D player. Honestly. I think you think, and I think, that he can be even more than that. We've talked about him being a star on the defensive end and maybe having that kind of path like a Kawhi Leonard. And no, I'm not doing the comparison to Kawhi right now. Calm down. Just like the play or like Jimmy Butler, who are known in the NBA first in their youth as a defensive stopper. Fair. And then develop their offense as they go through their NBA career and turn into all-star level offensive threats over time. I still think that path is there for Williams if the pieces around him and the coaching and the way he's developed all work well and in his favor. So I'm not wildly offended by P-Dub falling from 4 to 8, because look, it's hard to argue that some of the players taken ahead of him in this redraft don't deserve to be, whether it's Quickly or a Kongwu or Wiseman, so Wiseman having already been drafted ahead of him, Isaiah Stewart being the other big one that makes a jump. I don't love Stewart at 4. I think that's a reach, but again, and it goes back to what we were saying with Coby. I don't know if Patrick Williams is the chip on his shoulder kind of guy. He seems to just be very chill about everything.
He does.
But I mean, maybe he takes this as a slight. It's not as much of a slight as Coby, at least in my opinion. I don't know about you.
No, it's a huge slight. You drop from 7th to 20th. That's a complete slight. That is absolutely what that is. And definitely some players I don't think should have been ahead of you in that. I might understand, like I said, I understood the fit of Daniel Gafford, but we're talking about just players. It's Coby White. But yeah, Patrick Williams, Matt, it was a shock when they drafted him then at 4. So maybe that's why they when you went out on I'm sure in their world, they're like, you went out on a limb and took this guy at 4, you expect him to pay immediate dividends maybe. And so since he hasn't, we're going to drop him down a little bit and do it like that. No, that's I don't see it like that at all. I saw they knew what he was. They saw what they wanted. They took the guy that they wanted, and he has shown flashes, Matt, of being that dude. And it's the flashes that get you. I mean, that block on Ayton just plays over and over again in a loop in my brain, just over and over again. the summer league that we saw, and we're not putting everything on summer league, all right? But the summer league positives that we saw, because we sure saw the negatives as far as him still not having to move and him turning the ball over often. But the positives as far as his attitude and how he moved and how he approached the game. And Matt said, like he said, was a very chill guy. He wasn't like that in that summer league. That dude wanted to, get after it. And that's what you were hoping to see coming into year 2. Now, I was shocked at Stewart being there because I would be upset with the pick, Matt, because I'd be like, we passed on Wiseman and we passed on Quigley. Like, we passed on 2 of those to go get Stewart. So I'm like, you took a risk with a guy like Patrick Williams at 4 to replace him with another risk, which I think is Stewart, because I don't find him as a better basketball player than Wiseman or than Quigley was. So I don't like this redraft. Putting him at 8th. I understand it. It's not a huge slight, but I just don't like the pick that they gave the Bulls with it. And there's nothing against Stewart, because the dude can play. He's already proven that the dude can actually play. But I just don't see that them putting him there, man, because I can't get over the Wiseman one. That's really the one, man. That's really just kicking in my brain real hard.
Yeah,
I can't get. But Patrick is ill. Like, I'm not passing on Patrick.
Yeah, I mean, I get that. If you're like, wait, Wiseman's there, and you said no. The other one, I mean, just to show that I can be self-deprecating and admit when I'm wrong occasionally, Big Dave, or at least it looks like I'm wrong so far.
Okay.
And an injury early career has been an issue, but the version of Coby White in the 2020 draft, a guard that was taken top 10 that fell, is a guy I was pretty high on, and that's Killian Hayes. Killian Hayes falls at 26th over going 7th overall. And look, he looks like the player that we thought he was, and a guy with amazing ball handling and distribution skills. They note here, among rookies with at least 500 minutes, his 7.6 assists per 75 possessions ranked 3rd. But his shooting was just a nightmare, like absolutely bad. I thought his shooting form is a little weird, but maybe he can fix it. And he's the playmaking point guard that this team desperately needs, and that's why I was high on him. Whew, he falls from 7 to 26. So
yeah,
interesting to have these redraft conversations. Both of the Bulls' last 2 first round draft picks falling, one more significantly than the other. Hopefully bulletin board material for both of these guys where they can prove people wrong. Because, again, Patrick and Coby are both still very young. Still very young, and perhaps now in a better position to develop. I mean, this Bulls organization, when Coby was drafted, was in disarray. Patrick Williams was the first thing that the new front office did. We want that kid. And so even though Patrick Williams is technically like a part of the new regime and their building, he was the first building block, the very first building block. If you're talking about actually constructing this roster in their image, and it's only been a year for Patrick Williams. It's only been a year for Coby White. It's only been 2 years. And that first year, credit to him for shining the way he did as a rookie when everything around him was crumbling. So take their production in seasons 1 and 2 with a grain of salt and see where they go from here.
Yeah, and Matt, I mean, you know how hard I was riding for Coby White his rookie season, about how much I wanted him to play, and I felt the same way about him his second season. But I'm riding even harder for him this year because I just feel like it's perfectly set up for him to have that success this season. I can't wait to see what he does when he comes back from that injury. Patrick Williams was a guy, when they drafted him, like we said, we didn't know much about, or at least let me speak for myself, I didn't know much about when they got him. But when you got him and you saw him, you were like, oh, snap, this dude is good. He can play. And you saw the potential immediately and why AK and Eversley fell in love with him. And Matt is correct. This is their baby. This is the first person that they got. They said, we want that dude. We don't care nothing about what you say. That guy right there, we want him. Bring him to us. So and as y'all know, if they saying it, I'm rolling with it. So that's how I'm rolling with Patrick Williams. But I also wanted to point out Isaac Okoro, Matt, falling from 5th to 12th. Because again, let me shout out to your boy C Red Fred. He's a big old Okoro fan. I see the look on your face. He's a big old fan of that man Okoro, man. And him dropping from 5th to 12th, going to Sacramento was tough, man. Because I think he's solid. I think he can play. And then I saw at 11, which was wild to me, was the guy I was high on, which was Denny Advia, dropping from 9th to 11. Not a huge fall for him as far as Isaac Okoro, but honestly, I thought he should have fell a little bit more after the performance that he had this season. He was tough, but I was really high. You want to talk about guys you were high on? How you were high on Killian Hayes? I was definitely high on Denny Advia, along with a lot of people in Bulls Nation. I thought he was going to be the pick. I was like, pick him. I like him. I like the fact that he runs around and does stuff. Give me that guy. And man, it's that shooting, that 3-point shooting, man. Oh my goodness, it's been bad to the point that they couldn't put him on the floor as much anymore. He played himself off the floor, and I hope he makes his adjustments because he'll have another opportunity this year with Washington to succeed because of the changes that they've made. But man, it was a tough rookie year for my man Denny, man. It was a tough rookie year.
And look, I think when you do these redrafts, you know, whether you are an NBA person who writes for Bleacher Report and are the ones going through and doing them, or if you're people like us who are reacting to them, but you know, you spend your life watching the NBA, talk about the NBA, whether it's the 19 or the 20 class, so you're talking about that top tier, right? The top tier, Zion and Ja, LaMelo, RJ Barrett, players of that caliber. Right. Beyond them, the guys where everybody, if you watch any lick of basketball, could look at that guy, and whether he's playing overseas or playing in college, look at him and say, oh yeah, that's a star. That dude is a star. Right. Everything below that top tier, it's a dart throw, man. Whether you're someone who is paid to scout NBA talent, or you're paid to write about people who scout NBA talent, or you are us who are occasionally paid to talk about people who are paid to write about people who are paid to scout NBA talent. It's a dart throw. Like, it is a dart throw. Some of these guys pan out, some of them don't. And the way you know that, and the good reminder is, these redrafts are crazy. These redrafts are absolutely crazy.
Yeah. You're absolutely right, man. And like you said, nobody knows. even I go as far as to say, even the first one, like, of course, there's a rarity where you just like, nope, him for sure. We know it. LeBron, Shaq, Hakeem Olajuwon, you know, Patrick Ewing, you know, like guys you look at immediately, Chris Webber, like you like immediately you look at them, you're like, yes, obviously. Zion Williamson, like you're like, these guys are going to be good no matter what. But man, it's a crapshoot regardless, man, because then you, like you said, you can end up with a Kwame Brown. You know, you can end up, gosh, I forget Anthony Bennett. You know, you can end up with those kind of guys. You know, it happens, you know, but it's a crapshoot around, man. But yeah, that's why guys are paid the big bucks, but nobody's 100%. You know, and the guys who are close to it are revered as legends. Hello, Jerry West.
True that. All right, that's going to wrap things up for today. Hope you all enjoyed this conversation. You know, hit us up if you have any thoughts on these redrafts. Patrick Williams falling from 4 to 8, Coby falling from 7 to 20. If you got a bone to pick with Bleacher Report, or you got thoughts about maybe that's not too crazy, maybe you got some thoughts about Daniel Gafford jumping into round 1 ahead of his Coby White. Let us know. Hit us up. We are at 331-979-1369 for text and voicemails. LockedOnBulls@gmail.com. And you can always hit us up on the Twitter machine. I am at Bulls_Peck. Dave is at BAL, BAWL Sports. We are at Locked On Bulls. Until next time, thanks for listening. Thanks for being fans with us. We are getting close. Dave, do you know it is September 20th?
Tell me, Matt.
The Bulls regular season opener is 1 month from today. 1 month.
It's almost time. We've waited for so long for this moment. I've been
waiting.
There, y'all.
We're getting there. We'll see you soon for another fresh episode of Locked On. For Big Dave, I'm Matt. Thanks for listening, y'all. See Red be good. Peace out.